All right, welcome to day 2 of our law school simulation. So, for today, we are going to continue taking a look at law school and ultimately where we are going to head with the development of the Constitution. So, for today, if you have not done so already, please answer today's Do Now question, which is why is the preamble considered the most important part of the Constitution? So, you can pause the video here and go answer the Do Now if you have not done so already. Okay, welcome back. So let's begin our presentation. So you've taken a look at the preamble to the Constitution, and you could pretty much understand that the preamble is the most important part because this is the part that sells the people. You know, when our founding fathers were developing this document, they needed to find a way to really engage the regular citizens. They wanted the citizens to understand that the Articles of Confederation were no more and that the Constitution was the law of the land, and that they wanted the citizens to understand that they really thought about the citizens' best interest when developing this document, which is why they started it with "We the People." And that was one of the most important things that James Madison really wanted, was for the fact that this document was going to be for the people, not just for a select few. So your objective for today is by the end of class, you'll be able to identify how the three branches of the government works. Also, by the end of class, you will simulate what it is like to study for constitutional law. So you're probably thinking, what is constitutional law? Well, let's get into it. So when we look at the Constitution, we have already done bullet number 1, which is the preamble. This is what we've done so far. Today, we are going to cover Articles 1, 2, and 3. We're going to take a look at the government of the powers of the Congress, the powers of the president, and the powers of the judicial branch or the Supreme Court. And also, we're going to start getting into a little bit of the relations between the states, but we're really not going to get into that too much. That'll be more for Friday. What we are going to look at, though, is checks and balances. How do the three of these powers all work with each other? And ultimately, sometimes, how do they work against each other? Now, you are being introduced or inducted into the University Law School, or UCLaw. It's a university in constitutional law. So what we are going to be doing is you are simulating what it's like to learn about constitutional law. We will have a graduation for law school. We'll probably do that via Zoom. And you are going to compete with one another in law firms, provided you pass the bar exam. Now, this is a picture of UCLaw, or the University of Constitutional Law. So the bar exam, sometime next week. Actually, I take that back. The week after, because next Friday is Good Friday. We will not have school. But next week, we are going to begin continuing with our university law, constitutional law. And by the end of this unit, you will take a test. And you must score an 85% or higher in order to graduate from law school. Otherwise, you will not be able to participate in our law school simulation. So you will have to repeat the bar exam, just like you did with the state's test, until you get an 85% or higher. So for today, you are going to be looking at the three branches of government. You have sections 2 through 5 to work on. Now, what I've given you is a little bit different than the regular Google Docs that we typically do. What I've created is a PDF document that you can interact with. This was a lot easier than me trying to make every single little box. So on this document that I've created with you, it isn't a Google slide, but you're not creating a slideshow. You will be answering the questions provided for you in this part. So you'll go into the reading. You're going to read sections 2 through 4. Do one section at a time. Don't jump around. So start with the legislative branch. You are going to get a picture from the internet, copy and paste it into this box where it says legislative branch. Find a picture that represents a legislative branch. It can be something about congressmen or women. Can be something about a bill, could be something about a law. Excuse me, could be a picture of the Capitol building, could be anything that represents the legislative branch. Now, also underneath here are little text boxes. You will click in these text boxes to put your answers. So every box has a text box. I think I just moved one by accident. Yeah, I did. So I'll fix that. There we go, fixed. Now, once you finish with this section, you'll move on to section 5. Under section 5, you are looking at a system of checks and balances. Well, Congress has to be able to balance the president, and the president should be able to counterbalance Congress. But then in the end, the Supreme Court needs to be able to say, hey, wait a minute. Is that really constitutional? Because the Supreme Court's job is to make sure we, the citizens, are protected at all times. So again, going back to that part of the preamble, we, the people. So we need to be able to understand all that. So every one of these arrows has a text box. What you need to do is figure out which of these phrases goes with this branch and which one counterbalances the other. So Congress can impeach the president. Is that going from the legislative branch to the judicial branch? Or is that going from the legislative branch to the executive branch? Or vice versa? You need to be able to figure that out. Once you've completed that, you could work on the legislative branch and judicial branch on IXL, wrapping up the last of our IXL assignments for a little while. Then there are a couple of review videos I want you to check out covering all 3 branches of the government. If at any time you have any questions, just shoot me an email and I'll be happy to answer. But again, this is all in anticipation of getting you ready for the bar exam, because this part is by yourself. There's no one that's going to pass the exam but you. So this is not a partner part. This part really helps you understand the basics of how our government works, and it's the fundamentals that really make up our U.S. Constitution. All right, guys, good luck, and I'll answer any questions at any time.